Hi, my name is Jessie. I'm in the US. I'm 22. I've been watching How I Met Your Mother since I was 9. My loved ones would probably say that I'm weird about the show, and I am. My family moved a lot when I was young, and I watched the show again and again and again and again. And the colors of Hemium and the characters and the vernacular, the apartment and the booth all constitute a very real and very consistent location in my mind and body when I don't have another one of those. I'm trans, and I'm not going to say that Hemium was or is a show that uplifts trans people, but I will say that every time I've watched the world shift against me, I found myself coming home to this show again and again and again and again.
I'm alone, what a pity, I won't be soon in New York City. When I see you, please permit me to tell you everything in New York City.
Thank you so much for that note, Jessie. Very moving to me and Craig. Welcome to How We Made Your Mother, where we discuss the TV show How I Met Your Mother, which I starred in from 2005 to 2018. No, 2014 as Ted Mosby. Craig Thomas co-created the show with Carter Bays. He's my co-host. Hi, Craig.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Joshy.
Hey, we're joined by Alec Lev, our intrepid. I don't even know what that word means, but you feel intrepid to me. Is that something you are?
And this is your star episode.
This week, if any, I am intrepid. Yes.
He's intrepid. Welcome, Alec Lev. Thank you so much, Jessie, for that voice note. We're very moved by it. Craig, what's that provoking you?
So much gratitude is what it is. The first thing it provokes, and then the desire to apologize a little bit for I'll start with the gratitude and get to the apology. The gratitude is that somebody like Jessie could watch the show and feel that connection to the show while also seeing certain jokes and moments in the show that were, I think, clunky and ignorant, where you made jokes that were sort of flippant and I think offensive to the trans community in ways that at the time, 20 years ago, we as the writing staff, Carter and I were not aware that we were doing. And I think it's so important 20 years later, like part of looking back on this show is, owning some of that stuff. The idea that we get a message from somebody like Jessie and we hear the love of the show and also the honest reaction to some of those moments. And we've heard this before from members of the trans community, all of whom deserve respect, and they don't need to turn on a comedy show and see jokes that might be using terms that are offensive to them. And we did that a couple times very ignorantly. Just like to say sorry to Jessie and to anybody else in the trans community out there who felt at all hurt or othered or pushed away from the show. It is a show, one of my favorite lines from How I Met Your Mother is, "Love is the best thing we do." I think that's the beating heart of the show. And we want everyone to feel loved and respected and welcomed into our little world here. I'm so glad that Jessie was still welcome, still was part of it and felt inside of the show, even as we made some mistakes. And so I would just like to own those mistakes and say thanks.
Yeah. It's interesting. It makes me reflect on if you're a member of any kind of marginalized community or minority, if you want to love cultural artifacts, there's a lot of stuff you're going to have to kind of like skip over or jump over or swerve around,
right?
Minority, non-white people had to find themselves, even in our show, in white character stories, you know? And the beauty of the moment we're in, or maybe, there's certainly pushback against this, which is not good at all, but that there are stories targeted more specifically to the people that they're meant for.
Right.
And it gives us an opportunity to watch, a gay story and be like, totally relate, totally moved by it, totally have felt all those things. Yep. So I think in some ways, the more specific we can be, the more it's a classic writing advice, right? Like the more specific you are, the more universal you become. Yep. But I think that I've always been struck by the fact that it is not white 20 and 30 somethings in urban centers that only love How I Met Your Mother. That is not the exclusive fan base. So it does transcend its characters' demos.
Yeah, it does. And when we hear from people from other parts of life who still relate to the show, it's the thing that makes me the happiest. And when I realize that when there are moments that come up that I wish that I could go back in a time machine and change, like one of the reasons we're talking about this, in addition to Jesse's wonderful message, was that in the previous week's episode, which was Mary the Paralegal, there is a joke where Barney says a term that is derogatory towards the trans community that at the time, 20 years ago, I just think we didn't, we were too ignorant to know that it felt that way.
The sad part is it didn't even occur to anyone to flag it.
No, nobody flagged it. Nobody thought twice about it, which is such a portrait of 20 years ago is a long time. And yet also look where we are as a society right now in 2025 and all the battles that are being fought for people's identity and to have respect and to not be marginalized, to just be able to be human. And I wish I could wave a magic wand and take anything out of the show that ever made anyone feel marginalized or outside of it.
Do you remember, Craig, and Happy Thank You More, Please, there's a talk that my character has with Pablo Schreiber where I say, a writer told me once that every 5 years you realize what an asshole you were 5 years ago. And it's just this continuing process of like, what an asshole I was 5 years ago.
4 sets of those 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. So if you, like, I think about like the jokes we were making my freshman year of college in that freshman dorm, and like, there's not maybe one guy who I can think of would still be making those jokes, but no one else would be. And I think like it's a good thing that comedy changes. Like I don't throw in with those comedians who are like, you can't say anything anymore. It's like, no, you just got to get better. You just got to get better.
I totally agree. So between year 2 and 3 of How I Met Your Mother, my son was born and he has an intellectual disability and health, multiple disabilities, health-wise too. And the way that changed my world, the paradigm shift that was for me, as this kind of privileged white guy, grew up on Long Island, Irish American, like I fairly sheltered, college kind of opened my world so much more. But I think having Elliot, having my son, is the thing that really kicked the door open to realizing what it feels like to be on the receiving end of dehumanization and terms that are derogatory towards people with disabilities. To have there's that great line that's like, having a child is to have your heart forever walk around outside your body. And that is what parenthood feels like. And if that child happens to be a little more vulnerable, a little more fragile, it's just magnified. But I think all parenthood really feels that way. And like the way that people with disabilities are spoken about and joked about and marginalized and dehumanized in some of our pop culture vernacular and some of our political discourse now too is horrifying. And it's something that I didn't realize how horrifying it was until I was in that world, until my heart was walking around outside my body. And that's what I've had 18 years of that now, of that feeling. And yeah, sorry, I'm getting choked up thinking about it. Just it changes everything, right? It changes everything to have to be in that,
and not just about in a lot of ways, like marginalized people stand with other marginalized people because they know, right? They have the experience. So it didn't just give you the experience of like, oh, I don't want anyone to say these particular words. It was like, no, let's get rid of dehumanizing language. Like let's reconsider the whole lexicon, right?
Yeah, you can't ask. Yeah, it has to be across every. It has to be all equal parts across every sort of marginalized type of person. Like when you have, I just think it's my glimpse into how it feels to be marginalized or to be on the receiving end of language that is sort of dehumanizing or devaluing. And I hate that there's some moments like that on the show. It certainly wasn't the intention, but I think it's really important to own those moments. And I think you don't know till you know. I think right. And once that door is open, you kind of see things much more clearly. And so whenever we hear about this, I'm my instinct is to immediately say, yeah, I get it. I'm sorry, because I think we've evolved and we've come a long way.
Yeah.
I know Carter Bays, my co-creator of the show and one of my best friends, I know this matters to him so much. I know he feels this way, and he would be echoing these words and feel the same way towards Jesse's message. So I just wanted to include him in this.
And I wrote you this little ditty to sing to you in New York City.
We'll be right back. Guys, let's talk about the real MVP of your wardrobe, the one thing that should never let you down. Alec and Doug's favorite underwear, MeUndies. If you're anything like me
or them,
it's time for an upgrade. And you can do that with the ultramodal Ball Caddy boxer briefs from MeUndies. Ball Caddy is really the perfect way to describe how these feel. You have a small man underneath you giving you an assist. These game-changing briefs are designed for next-level support. No squishing, no sticking, just pure cloud-like comfort. Take it away, Craig.
Here we go. My whole life has led to this moment. Hey, listen, MeUndies has a cut for every guy's butt. Yeah, I'm going to say that again. No, I'm not. With over 10 different styles ranging from boxer briefs to jock straps to our special, wait for it, pouch underwear called Ball Caddy that keeps you from bat-winging ever again. Now, that's a verb, I guess? Bat-winging?
Yeah.
Alec, Doug, Alec, help me out.
All
What's
I can
happening?
tell you is I have been kept from bat-winging this whole time.
But do you know what that means? Because I don't understand.
I don't
I'm just
need to know
reading
because
words.
I've got MeUndies.
Okay.
Do you have a contoured pouch and Ball Caddy? Like, is it?
I mean, they've got a cut for every butt.
Well, MeUndies' signature softer than soft ultramodal fabric is breathable, stretchy, and oh so comfy, making it ideal for all-day wear. It's also responsibly sourced. They use sustainably sourced materials and work with partners that care for their workers. Not happy with your first pair of undies? It's on MeUndies.
I like that it sounds like a pirate talking about his undies. The undies. I think they should really lean into that. I'm just pitching maybe a cartoon pirate character. Just take it or leave it. Slide into game-changing comfort with MeUndies. Support the show by going to MeUndies.com/yourmother and using my code yourmother to get 20% off your first order plus free shipping. That's MeUndies.com/yourmother, code yourmother, all one word, for 20% off plus free shipping. MeUndies, comfort from the outside in. I will say Alec and Doug really do adore these and won't shut up about them. So in all seriousness, they're good.
Josh, summer is here and the time is right for
existential despair.
Okay, we could turn it around and let's say that you've gone through that part of it, the classic summer existential despair. Then you get to.
Do you ever feel oppressed by the sun, like it's mocking you?
Okay, hold on. See, what I'm in Los Angeles. We have this warm. I think about the beach. I think about mint julep, lemonade, sort of in that vein. Is that anything? Does that ring anything for you?
Well, I appreciate all that, but I don't know. Maybe it's because my birthday's in the summer, but sometimes I just get hit with real seasonal melancholy. You know what I mean, Alec?
I do, but actually, I'm wondering about your wireless bill.
Well, that's certainly part of it. Sometimes the wireless bill, especially the summer wireless bill, it's just too damn expensive.
Josh, there is a better way.
I'm listening.
And it's incredibly convenient that we're doing an ad for it. We're doing an ad for it right now. And I'm telling you, I think once you get the wireless bill down, the existential ennui, the malaise will watch this. Because I'm going to tell you one thing that doesn't belong in the summer is getting burned by your old wireless bill. You're off, you're trying to plan your beach trips, you're trying to plan your barbecue, you're trying to plan your outings to the baseball game. The last thing you want to be thinking of, the last thing you want to be bringing you down is your wireless bill, right?
I agree with you, Alec, and I'm gonna even add something to that. And this is just coming to me off the top of my head. With Mint Mobile, you can get the coverage and speed you're used to, but for way less money. And for a limited time, Mint Mobile is offering 3 months of unlimited premium wireless service for $15 a month. What a deal.
You know, it's funny. I mean, even as you're saying it, I can see I could see the existential malaise lifting.
I'm getting happier as I talk about this.
It's just going right away because every plan, all the Mint plans come with high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can use your own phone. With any Mint Mobile plan, you could bring your old existing contacts along with you. Forget about the overpriced wireless. Get 3 months of unlimited service from Mint Mobile for just $15 a month.
Now, you've heard the ongoing series, the second best series we've been talking about on this podcast. Our friend Doug and his very, very happy time with Mint Mobile. He's been trying it out. Yeah. He's not going back. He's got great coverage for a great price, better and cheaper than his old plan. Boom. Doug, done.
This year, skip breaking a sweat and breaking the bank. Get this new customer offer and your 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month at mintmobile.com/yourmother. That is mintmobile.com/yourmother. Upfront payment of $45 required, equivalent to $15 a month. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Tax and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details.
And now, back to the show.
Craig, you wrote such a beautiful piece. Was it in the LA Times? Where did that piece run?
Oh, the Boston Globe. Yeah.
Oh, the Boston Globe. Yeah. If you can seek this out, maybe Alec, we can put this in the show notes, Craig's article.
Yeah, it was called Hollywood and the R Word. And it is about a derogatory term for people with intellectual disabilities. And this is what I mean. I don't like the comedy defense of it either. We can't make jokes anymore. It's just a funny word. And certainly that's what I'm sure that's how he felt in the writer's room 20 years ago. And we're like, it's just a funny word to put in. No, it's not. It's not a funny word. There's no defense of it. Once it's a joke that can hurt someone, find another joke. If you realize you're making a joke that hurts someone, and like, I think there's this other defense of this where people would say, that's what that character would say, right? Or that fits the story, or that fits the theme, so the character gets to talk like that. I'm not going to defend our use of a word like that because there's nothing important about saying that word. It's just a dumb, meaningless joke. It's a throwaway joke. It could be anything else.
If you take the 10,000 jokes Barney made in 208 episode, and you take that one joke away, it's not like suddenly no one can understand Barney. Like he's not in sharp enough relief without that joke, right?
It is a very clear character. He doesn't need to make that joke. And so therefore that joke has no nutritional value. That joke isn't satire. It's not particularly character defining. It's not because the episode's about that, or that's how this group of people would talk. I don't think it serves any purpose. And I think when comedy people try to defend, we have to be able to say every word. I think there should be intention and meaning behind the use of any term that could potentially offend somebody. I think there's art. You look back at Huckleberry Finn and Mark Twain, like he was writing a certain way to capture a certain moment, a certain vernacular, judging it by modern day standards and not understanding the satire behind it. That's something completely different. But like, I just think if there's no real value to it and you're just throwing it out there, it's just empty shock value.
That wasn't Aaron Carter's most Twain-like moment.
No, it's not. It's not satire. It's not for a reason. If it's not for a reason and you can't explain the reason it's there in an artful way, you certainly shouldn't be using it, and maybe not even then. But it's just one of those things. I think you have to own it and you have to evolve.
There's a British comedian named David Baddiel who wrote a really great book called Jews Don't Count. And he's just been writing and speaking a lot about anti-Semitism over the years. And I saw this clip of something where he said, there's 2 jokes I used to tell, or that I have told. The first joke relies upon the kind of stereotype about Jews and money. The second joke, which is actually quite funny, which I'll tell, which is a German, a French person, and a Jewish guy are sitting on a bench, and it's a sweltering hot day. And the Frenchman says, I'm tired, I'm thirsty, I must have wine. The German says, I'm tired, I'm thirsty, I must have beer. And the Jewish guy says, I'm tired, I'm thirsty, I must have diabetes. And the reason he says, I will still tell that joke is because no one's killed Jews over their hypochondriacal tendencies.
Right.
But there have been. There's a long trail of blood over this idea that Jews control things and have all the money and all that pernicious stereotype. So it almost is like, you know, if you go into a marginalized community, they're joking about themselves, right? In ways that they are allowed to, that they are, you know, it's so different when. You know, when someone tells a Jewish joke, I'm always like, uh-oh, you know, if they're not Jewish, even sometimes when they are. But I think that there are stereotypes that are for the, they're fun and they're like, we can enjoy them, you know, and there's other ones that people get killed over. And we have to be clear about where we're telling jokes from.
Yes.
I think also what Craig said about intention, that if the marginalized community is making a joke at their own expense, it is a bonding exercise.
Right.
That's not what it is when someone from outside the community is tearing someone down.
I get into these tussles about the R word because, I'm 18 years into being the parent of a child with a disability. And so I wrote that piece in the Boston Globe, for example. I have a novel coming out in November that's in part about this. And people online, there are people who yell at me and say, like, no one cares about the R word anymore. It's been destigmatized. It doesn't hurt anybody. We should just be able to say it. And of course, I know firsthand from talking to many people with Down syndrome, from talking to my son who has Jacobson syndrome, they don't want to be called that word. No one wants to be called that word. It's not okay because you're using the word to call someone else stupid or that they have no value, you know, because you're essentially using a word that sort of originated in the disability community and now you're putting it as a totally negative word on something else. That doesn't make it okay. Like, I know for a fact that it hurts people in the disability community. So when people come at me and say, like, it's no big deal, it's like, no, it is a big deal. I know for absolute fact that it hurts people in that community and they don't want to hear that. It
also goes to the fact that the people in the community get to set the terms, right?
They sure do.
They get to set the terms of the terms. And if people in that community say that word is hurtful to us, in the same way that there is a thing, sorry to make this about me, but the marginalized community of which I am a part is my religion, is Judaism, that I was born into. And, you know, it gets enraging when we say that's anti-Semitic and people say, no, it's not. You know, non-Jews say, no, it's not. And it's like, why are we not allowed to set the terms of those terms? You know, this should be up to us.
Yeah, right. So bring it back to Jesse. If Jesse watched our show and felt those moments to be painful and was thinking, why does that joke have to be there? I love that. That's how I feel when sometimes I watch something and I catch the R word and there's no reason for it and it's just there for empty shock value. Also, those types of jokes where you're just name checking some shock value word, they're never the funniest jokes. In fact, they're really never funny at all. And I think there's this weird defense sort of like in the sort of manosphere, like podcasty world of like, and a lot of stand-up comedy now where it's like, there's this illusion that those are funny, that makes it a joke. To use a shocking word makes it a joke. And it just doesn't. It's not clever. It's not surprising. There's not an artful way you're using it. And if Jesse watched our show and felt those moments to be othering and painful, and yet saw the beauty and the comedy and the heart in the show and stuck with the show, I would argue that Jesse has given us the greatest gift we could ask for, which is looking past some mistakes and seeing kind of the beating heart that beneath those mistakes, accepting our flaws and saying, this is still my show. This is still my place. And I just want to thank Jesse for finding that and fighting through that, because I've had moments where I've had to sort of, and again, we keep on using our own ways into this, but where I've had to sort of look past certain things that feel ableist or wrong to me and still realize I love something about this piece of art anyway. And I'm going to remember that I love something about this and try to get past that. And I know it's not easy always. So I thank you for doing that, and anybody else who stuck with us through those mistakes. It's a gift. It's grace that you're giving us.
Well, that was beautiful, Craig. Thank you for sharing all that. And thank you again to Jesse.
Jesse's message was a beautiful gift. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this week's episode. Best prom ever, yes?
Yeah,
Yes.
best prom ever.
Yes.
And now we get to the star of
Alec,
today's show.
Alec, hold on, Alec. I can
What?
see him. He's
Come on.
chomping at the bit. When did this episode air? What date was this?
I've got it May 1st, 2006.
Where your life changed. This is the demarcation line in your life, right? The before and after.
There's before and after. Yeah.
April.
Yeah.
What did it?
1st, 2006.
May 1st. So April 30th. How many days in April? That was the last day you could just go outside, right, and like go to normal restaurants and like just be like it was your last day of just anonymity.
Yeah.
And everyone calls me Todd when I walk down the street. It's so annoying.
Do you hear how annoying it is? Do you get it? It's very similar to what I have to do. Very. It even sounds similar.
And it used to be that people would actually talk to me. Now they just want to take pictures with me. It's so weird.
Yeah.
I have to like get behind them.
Yeah, you're just like an image to them. It's you feel very objectified.
Let's explain this. Alec's in the episode.
Alec is in the episode. Alec plays Todd of Todd and Valerie fame, running to get the Smoot House. Is Van Smoot House? Craig, real quick, summarize this episode for us.
Written by Ira Ungerleider, who also appears in the episode.
One of the great writers' room names, by the way. Ira Ungerleider.
It's a great writer name. He's really the star cameo of this episode. He's really the one that sticks in my head more than any other cameo. No, okay. So this episode is Marshall and Lily in a frenzied battle to acquire the wedding venue they want in a fearsome chase. We open on a chase scene. Marshall and Lily versus Alec Lev and what's her name? I forget.
The wonderful actress who played
Valerie.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're in a battle to get that, and to secure that venue, they get that venue, and then they realize they also need to land a wedding band, and the wedding band they want to see live, so they have to go to a high school prom to see that band and decide if they want to fully hire this band. And by going to the prom, it unlocks some of Lily's past and her memories and some things she's kind of feeling about her past and getting married now and sort of what her journey is. So,
do you know how they say that Tom Cruise is the best runner in cinema?
I see where you're going.
Do you think that Alec Lev is the best or one of the top 3 runners in television?
By the way, it's shot out of a cannon, that run. The episode begins. I mean, it really...
He wants that house. He wants that house for the wedding.
Is Todd here with us today? I'm going to do the James Lipton thing. Is Todd here with us today? Can we talk to Todd?
Hello, Craig. Josh.
Let me ask. That's Todd. Yeah,
that's Todd.
Those
are Todd's only lines.
It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Josh, let me ask you, because it's not in the episode, and Craig, I assume you know the answer to this, and I assume I know the answer to this. Do you know what the phrase "best prom ever" comes from, Josh Radnor? Do you know where?
I don't know what you're getting at. Because
it's not just that they went to the prom. You tell me, Craig, if I'm getting at the right thing.
I don't know what you're going to say.
Craig had a bit. Craig always had a bit when he would do a little dance thing. It was like this, the classic side by side, your hands are on the other shoulders. And Craig would always say, "This is the best prom ever."
That's right.
You'd start slow dancing with people?
Yeah. What situation would it be in?
I don't know in what. I can't. That is a deep cut. That is a deep cut Craig Thomas reference. Thank you, Alec. I feel very seen right now. Maybe it was from that.
I think it's all the way back to college and the fake arms and best prom ever.
I think just when we were bored and no one had anything to say, I would just start doing it and say best prom ever.
So you and Carter asked me if I would do this, and the first story I have is that as a what is that called? I'm not a star necessarily. What do you call that? I was a day player.
You're a day player, right? I think that would be day player, yeah.
A day runner.
I got day runner. I was a day runner, and there's a certain rate for a day runner. And miraculously, you had to split those 2 scenes onto 2 different days. One running down the street day and one elevator day. So I got paid for 2 days. So I thank you very much for it. I thank Michael Shea for the scheduling of that.
You know, this is something that I think this is just inside baseball stuff. People don't understand that locations are kind of everything in terms of shooting and scheduling and making the thing. So when you're watching Alec, Todd, and Valerie run down the street, try to beat Lily and Marshall, and then cut to the elevator, the magic of it is they stitch that together, but that's 2 separate days. The wardrobe keeps track of the outfits. They keep track of where the sweat was on the t-shirts. It's really, that's what continuity is, because you are almost never are you shooting something in order. It's always, it's funny How I Met Your Mother itself was non-linear, but the shooting of it was incredibly non-linear too.
It was. And I think we were the only rewatch podcast where the producer was also on the show at some point. I would defy anyone. I did ChatGPT. Is that true? But anyway, so we have a real angle to work here, Alex. So it was your star moment. It was my
star moment. The second story is that when I'm in the elevator, there was a painting outside the set of the elevator, and I was looking at it. And so we're doing our thing, and Pam goes over yells at her microphone. She yells, "Alec, are you looking into the camera?" Because I guess my eye line wasn't enough of off camera that I looked like I was very unprofessionally looking right into the camera. And then 3, the much more important story is the running down the street. So the Jason and I screaming at each other, we just improv that in the moment. That just happened right then and there.
That was funny.
But then also, I almost killed Alyson a little bit.
Wait.
So
what?
When we're running up those steps, I grab her arm and I pull her back. And my intention was just slow her down a little, not pull Alyson Hannigan back down a flight of stairs.
This is why you have intimacy coordinators.
And why I was not invited back, I think.
Oh my God. We had a 10-episode arc plan for you, and you were done after that one.
Yeah, but if you try to kill one of the series regulars, generally you don't get invited back.
Generally, they don't hold you back.
Good tip.
So I got up the stairs, apologized profusely for this moment.
Did she almost fall? Did she almost fall down the stairs?
I mean, she gets pulled back. It's not okay.
But that's the take they chose, right? It's in there.
I don't think they let me do a second take. They were like, "Don't fucking let that guy in front of the camera again."
Funny, around looking in the camera, I remember, I think first season, Jason had a friend who worked with, I think, Don Johnson. I think I'm remembering this correctly. And Don Johnson said, "We got to go again. I buzzed the lens," which means I looked directly into camera.
Yeah.
And I'd never heard that phrase before, but it became a runner 9 years. We'd say, "Sorry, I buzzed the lens." I looked right into camera. So that's what you were doing, Alec. You were buzzing the lens.
I thought that was the phrase, like the universal Hollywood phrase, "I buzzed the lens." Is that it?
It might be, but I didn't know it at the time. That was my first time I heard it. Kind of like "These dogs are barking." I'd never heard that before. Lily said,
"These dogs are barking." Busting my apple bag.
Unfortunately, I actually have no other. That's it. That's the end of that story. That's it.
Did you pull her arm out of her socket? You would think I should get injured on Buffy, not How I Met Your Mother. But you somehow, she fought so many vampires and demons, but Alec Lev almost kills Alyson Hannigan.
Yeah, the behind-the-scenes video guy almost kills her. Also, there is a moment around season 8 or 9 that there was a great reason to bring me back. I don't remember it now.
This would be such a better story.
It'll be good like 3 years from now when we get to it. I promise.
Okay, you have time. You have time to work
I'll remind you why you should have brought me back.
Okay.
Well, Todd and Valerie could have been another Stuart and Victoria, but because you tried to kill Allie, they had to make a very tough call.
You tried. You don't kill Alyson Hannigan, man. You don't do it. Rule number 1 of show business.
I'm sorry.
All right. Well, you were great.
Where did Van Smoot House come from? Do you remember where that originated? It's such a great name.
I think Van Smoot was like.
Sorry, are we done with me? Okay.
Yeah. We're done.
Okay, we can go.
You were great. It was fantastic. We
bled that stone dry. It's good. It's.
But yeah, I think it was an actual name of maybe Ira or somebody knew some wealthy family called that. I think it was based on. I'm sure we could look this up. I think it was a real wealthy family name of some from somewhere, but I can't remember. I almost want to look it up right now.
It's very old money. It's a very fun. It's both funny and sounds kind of real. You know what's funny? I don't know who Todd and Valerie are, but it's funny. When you're writing something, I'm writing a script and I needed names of 2 kids, like a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old brother and sister. And I just used Caleb and Addie because they're friends of mine who are married. I just think it's funny, when you can always do little shout outs to your friends when you're writing something. I was just wondering if Todd and Valerie were friends of Ira's or something.
Oh, I don't know. Of course, I just tried to look up Van Smoot, and it's like, all How I Met Your Mother references. But I think it was a real family because it becomes the captain's last name, but we'll get there.
But isn't it funny that it fictionally buried the real Van Smoot because the show got so popular?
We took it over. So, and this is the episode where we meet Scooter, which is another notable appearance. We meet Scooter, who is played wonderfully by David Burtka. And that is the third How I Met Your Mother main cast significant other spouse. And he's great as Lily's high school boyfriend, Scooter. I would argue that the Lily Scooter stuff and how it kind of informs Lily's feeling of cold feet that she's developing about her wedding, it's kind of the deepest, most important part of this episode. This episode's kind of like a fun one. They need these late 20-somethings try to sneak into a high school prom. It's a fun bit. It's kind of, it's like a lighter episode, but there's this heavy undercurrent that's actually really interesting, based on Lily having felt suffocated by being in too serious of a relationship in high school, deciding she wants to get to college and not do that and just be a little bit freer, a little bit like, let's ease into the being fully adult and fully committed. And then of course, day one at Wesleyan, she meets Marshall, which is this wonderful scene of seeing them in college and that meet cute. I love how sweet that scene is, but also that it does play with a slight discordant note, right? Because it's very sweet to see, and it's also planting this little time bomb that's going to go off later in the season, in a few episodes at the end of the season, of Marshall and Lily running into some problems, and Lily wondering if things are moving a little too fast in her life, and if she's kind of breaking a promise that 17, 18-year-old her made to herself by doing that. And that's the deeper part of this one.
And this old man, he must admit he fell in love with you in New York City.
And now, commercials.
Craig, one of my favorite tweets. Hey, do we still call them tweets? Like, is it still?
It was a tweet around when you read it.
I was a tweet when I read it, and it said, why do people always say New York City smells like pee, and never my pee smells like the greatest city in the world?
You know why? Because pee doesn't have a good adage. There's not a good marketing campaign for pee itself.
No.
Until now.
Now. That's right. But we're not talking about human pee. I think they're talking about human pee, but we're talking about cat.
I'd rather talk about cat pee. Just while we're here, I made the time.
But it gets in the way of those beautiful smells of spring that we've talked about. It really does.
Gets in the way. Look, here's the thing. Pretty litter. Right? Are you with me? Pretty litter. If you've got a cat, get pretty litter. That's the quick version. You could fast forward at this point if you want.
I'm responding in agreement.
Yeah. Pretty litter gives you peace of mind. It changes color. This is my favorite part of pretty litter. It changes color to indicate early signs of potential illnesses in my cat. I don't have a cat. It's Schrodinger's cat, really. Like urinary tract infections, kidney issues, and more. I both have and don't have a cat, Josh.
Yeah.
And now I'm reading Josh's lines.
No. I want to pop. You missed something so important.
Okay.
Pretty Litter's non-clumping formula traps odor and moisture. It's ultra absorbent. It's lightweight, low dust, and one 6-pound bag works for up to a month.
Oh my God. I can't believe I skipped non-clumping because that is our favorite hyphenated word that we've gotten to discover through our relationship with Pretty Litter. Guys, it helps keep your house smelling fresh and clean. Try it and you'll love it. Go to prettylitter.com/HWMYM. Those letters stand for How We Made Your Mother to save 20% on your first order and get a free cat toy. That's prettylitter.com/HWMYM to save 20% on your first order, free cat toy. I'm going to keep saying that apparently? No, I'm not. prettylitter.com/WMYM. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details. Non-clumping.
Pretty Litter cannot detect every feline health issue or prevent or diagnose diseases. A diagnosis can only come from a licensed veterinarian. Terms and conditions apply. See site for details.
End of commercials. Back to show.
Well, I love that an episode, a more serious episode, has these bursts of hilarity in them. Or conversely, you have these episodes that are largely comedy driven that really, oh, hi, Nelson, like really shocks you, really shocks you almost with the gravitas of it. But I also think it goes right into the vein of a pretty important theme of How I Met Your Mother, which is how much do I honor or work on myself versus how much do I work on partnering? How much do I give up of myself within a partnership? How much do I fight to hold on to my individuality or these other dreams? Like, how much am I willing to sacrifice in regards to making a relationship work or looking for one? And I think that I thought this was so smart because Ted is the one who seems like he's in upheaval, in the unknown. And from the get-go, Marshall and Lily are the settled ones. They're both the question of who they're going to be with is settled, and they're settling with each other. That looks like, well, that was a done deal. Like Robin says, everyone wants what you have, right? And I thought it was, again, like what How I Met Your Mother does best, which is it's not all one thing. Nothing is ever one thing, you know? And I think we mistrust, you know, it's almost like how wife guys on social media get a lot of shit because they're always talking about how great their wife is and how great their marriage is. It's like it's always they're going to have an affair like within you're going to get exposed within the year. Like I think we've learned to mistrust anything that does not paint with like more colors.
Yeah, and there's this interesting switch that's happening where Ted and Robin are starting to have this détente, and trouble is brewing for Marshall and Lily. And that's a very important kind of the paths crossing. There's kind of these two different wavelengths kind of crossing there. And yeah, nothing is all one thing, right? And even Lily says, I'm not having doubts about Marshall, I'm having doubts about me. And that's that idea of you're in your late 20s and are you fully you yet? Has the cement dried on you? Are you an adult yet? Are you the thing you thought you were going to be? Is this the moment you should be most chasing your dream or most realizing like in real life, you don't do every single dream. You trade off, you trade one thing for another, or you adjust your dream to include this other person and settling down with them. And she's really having that late 20s crisis that I think so many people have, that I think we all probably have in some way. I really don't feel like I was a full grown up till like maybe yesterday morning. It's just like your late 20s, you're still so in progress, right? I mean, you're in progress your whole life, hopefully, but Lily's really having a moment here, and it really plants a seed that's going to inform the end of the season in a huge way.
It's also a question about partnership. I think, there's two active forces in why we partner. One, we meet the right person. Two, it's the right time in our life to kind of do it, you know? And sometimes I feel, especially for people who, I felt like my older sister married her college boyfriend. They didn't get together until their junior year, but she met him on the first day of like on the orientation bus, like the first year orientation bus. And they were friends for 2 years. Wow. And they've been married for years and years and years. And I don't know if she ever questioned that, but sometimes I think when you meet someone so young, you could be like, right person, wrong time. Like it's too early, but this is the right person for me. Then I think you have to engage in a process of, what's the word, like co-growth, like where you're growing with someone or alongside someone. And the hope is that you're growing somewhat directionally similarly. Because a lot of times I've heard it said that relationships where two people are committed to growth can work. Relationships where neither are committed to growth also can work. But a relationship where one person is committed to growing and the other is not, will not work.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think Lily is having a crisis of timing. She's not, like she even says, I'm not having a crisis about the man, I'm having a crisis about the time. And I think like this is one of the things about aging. Now, I didn't start feeling this until I was approaching 40, but there is a feeling, I think, when you age, especially as you enter into middle age, whereas, and this is something I was exploring in my movie Liberal Arts, but when you're in college or high school or even just out of college, everything feels possible. Like there's so many doors you could walk through. You know, you could pivot. You could be like, oh, I studied this, but I now want to do this. That is still all kind of allowed. But by the time you hit or approaching 40, even sometimes your mid-30s, you've made choices that have real consequences to them, whether you had kids, you've lived a long time in a certain city, you've had a career that's taken you a certain amount of distance, might be really hard to leave and pivot into a new career. So I think that one of the things, if you're going to talk about aging, and I think because How I Met Your Mother ran for so long, we ended up dealing with aging maybe even more specifically than you guys had set out to at the beginning. But one of the big questions around aging in time is we don't have all the time in the world to live all the stories we want to live. You know, we can't marry everyone we're attracted to or everyone we have some feeling of chemistry or connection with, right? Like that would be impossible. We'd need multiple lifetimes. So we have to make these choices. And when you make choices, you naturally doors snap shut, they slam shut. And I don't know if I've talked about this, but Dear Sugar, Cheryl Strayed, who is, if you haven't read Tiny Beautiful Things, have you read that book, either of you? It's a gorgeous
No, I haven't read it.
Incredible. But she wrote Wild, and she also had this advice column called Dear Sugar. And one of her most beautiful letters is about a guy. He's entering his late 30s. He's with a woman. They're both around the same age. They're both incredibly happy. They don't want to be with anyone else. They want to stay together. They don't know if they should have kids or not. They could make equally compelling arguments about having kids or not having kids. So they're really at this like fork in the road kind of crisis moment. And they're like, we have to decide. And so the guy writes her and turns to her, and she said, you will make a choice and you'll be standing on the shore one day of looking out at the sea. And she calls it the ghost ship that didn't carry us. Like off in the distance, there'll be this ship going by with your other life.
It's a great line.
The other choice that you didn't make, you know? And you kind of just stand on the shore of your own choice and your own life. And you have to salute that ship. And you have to grieve on some level that you're not on that ship, because there's heartbreak either way. You know, and I think that's something. There are concessions, there are trade-offs. Every big decision we make is laced with a kind of grief and a kind of relief and a kind of celebration. So it's just I think she's asking herself the biggest questions you could be asking. They're appropriate questions.
Well, look, I mean, at the very beginning of this episode, we saw Lily almost die when Alec almost killed her. So her whole life flashed before her eyes,
into a deep existential crisis.
Like, I could have died because of Alec Lev. No, but I think one thing I like about Lily's journey in this one is like, she's been the rock for everybody. You know what I mean? She's always everybody's rock. She's Marshall's rock. She's the moral center of this group. We've seen her spend the whole season kind of being the moral grounding of this group. I'm so struck by that on this rewatch. Lily is the moral center of this group. She is the person that everyone looks to for gravity and the North Star and the compass. And she, in this one, is realizing, I've been that for everybody for a long time. I feel like I rushed into things a little more than I had planned when I broke up with my high school boyfriend, who was trying to make me marry him and go to umpire school with him and live in Staten Island. And now I found this wonderful man, Marshall, who I do love and is the right guy, but it feels all a little in fast forward, and something about moving that wedding date up by many, many months and putting that additional piece into fast forward makes her realize, like, my whole 20s have been a little bit in fast forward. I've always been the grounded one. When do I get to freak out? And the answer is in the next episode. And it's very human, and Lily gets to be human and flawed in a way that I think really dimensionalizes her, because no one is always the grounded, gravitational center. She's a human being too.
Well, sometimes, we do this in our family, but I think we also do this in friend groups or our chosen or horizontal family. We fall into these roles, and Lily, from the moment this show started, plays the role of the mother hen, the moral center, the moral compass. She's the voice of reason often. And it's almost like she's rebelling against that role. Like, wait a minute. I actually don't know as much. And I think it's a great truth that we can often see so clearly other people's lives and what they need to do more than we can see our own. We have a deep blind spot when it comes to ourselves. So I think she just reaches the end of I've got it all figured out. I know. And she just it's almost like I don't know, it was like a time release capsule, this kind of crisis that she was just needing to have.
Yeah. And she gets to have, and she like, and the way it's going to throw a bomb into this whole group when their moral center, when their gravity, that's all holding them on the surface of the earth, when she freaks out. There's a great moment in Jaws where like they bring in like the shark expert guy, and it's like, good, we got the shark expert guy. He's the shark hunting expert. He's going to get the shark. And then he dies, and the shark gets him. It's like, fuck, if the shark expert guy's gone, we're really fucked here. It's a little bit like Lily is about to sort of get eaten by like the late 20s shark here and kind of have her own freak out. And it's, I like how it casts everybody a little bit out of their gravitational pull in season 2. And that's what season 2 is about.
I got one foot in kind of like astrology, whatever. And then the other foot's like, I don't know. But there is something called the Saturn returns, which is this idea that from when in your 27 to 29, somewhere in there, the planets kind of realign of how they were roughly when you were born. So people say in those years, 27 to 29, which is literally the first 3 seasons of How I Met Your Mother, one of two things happens. Either where you've been working and what you've been doing kind of gathers some steam and you feel some wind at your sails, like things start really moving because you were on a path that you paid your dues, and doors start flying open, or you realize your ladder's been parked up against the wrong wall and you have to climb down and put it up against a wall that feels more aligned. So it almost feels a lot of, you could do, I'm sure someone has done this. You could do a kind of astrological breakdown of the Saturn returns of all these characters and what's going on for them. It feels like it's that feels.
Stay tuned for our bonus episode where we just do that.
Let's get an astrologer on here to break that down. Okay, well, we are now at a beloved segment of the show, which we call Questions and Observations from a clinical psychologist who's never seen How I Met Your Mother and also happens to be married to Josh.
My favorite part of this episode was when Lily was exploring the road not taken, the life that was in certain ways sacrificed when she met Marshall and made the choice to be with him. It reminds me of something I often say to patients, which is that with every choice, even the good ones, there's grief. Because whenever you say yes to one thing, you're also simultaneously saying no to all the other options. So I'm wondering if you can identify with that feeling, perhaps in your careers, and if so, when. I also want to note that this was another episode, sort of like Belly Full of Turkey, that highlighted that despite the show being about looking for love and the idealization of finding that person, through Marshall and Lily's relationship, you wisely don't let us stay in that fantasy for too long. You show us that people in good and strong relationships have their own struggles too, which I really appreciate.
I love that point. That is, that's what this was about. That's what this episode was.
Alec, I meant to talk to you about this, that we should probably play Jordana's questions a little earlier in the episode, because she always points out, by the time you get to my question, you've covered a lot of what I've said. And it is true, but I will say this. She'll say to me, why are you taking you're taking all my stuff? And I will be able to say to her, I hadn't heard your question. Because I hadn't listened to this one.
I love the surprise of not hearing it before.
Yeah, I think we're both, I think she, even more eloquently than I did, points up the fact that every choice is laced with grief and with sacrifice. But I do think her second point is lovely and well taken, which is anytime, and we did touch on it a little bit, but anytime we idealize a relationship, what is it like? Don't compare your insides to other people's outsides. Like if we really jumped into another relationship that we looked like, that we idealized, or another career that we idealized, we would spend like 5 minutes and go, you know what? I'll take my own problems back. Like, it's so tempting to think someone has it better than we do. But everyone has their own battles they're fighting, and no matter what they project out into the world.
Yeah. And this show, without saying too much about future seasons, like, we play with the idea in this show about the idea of the one, right? The idea of like idealizing any one thing, any one outcome. Does that fit? Is that realistic, right? There's a lot of twists and turns to life. Even when you find your person, there's a journey, right? And life finds a way to challenge that and to make a different narrative than purely the one you had planned for yourself. And I think we see that here with Marshall and Lily, and I think that's honest. I think that's very real. And I think Lily was due for this, right? She's been a grown up, but the more we explore Lily later in series, she's been the grown up. She was kind of the grown up with her parents a little bit. She was the grown up with Scooter. She's grown up with Marshall, and she needed a moment to not have to be under that level of gravity. And I think it's really interesting. These next couple of episodes are really interesting for Lily. There's some great Ted and Lily stuff coming up in the next one, Josh. I think you guys were really great together in the next episode we'll talk about. And I think challenging that idea of perfection and anyone's at the finish line. No one's at their finish line, right? You're always, life is one big marathon and you're not at the finish line really ever until the end. And Marshall and Lily, they weren't done, they weren't done. Nothing was all the way solved yet.
Someone said something to me about parenting. They said, parenting is particularly difficult because just when you know how to parent a 3-month-old, they're 6-month-old. And just when you feel like you've got the hang of the 1-year-old, they're 3 years old, which necessitates a whole other level of new information. Yeah. And it almost feels like Marshall and Lily were really good at being college sweethearts. And then they got really good at being boyfriend and girlfriend who lived together with Ted in New York City. And then they had to adjust to being, and you saw Lily trying to adjust to that, having the ring and what that means. And maybe she wouldn't be flirting anymore. Guys wouldn't be approaching her. Then, oh my God, we're getting married in 2 months. And that's just a cold plunge that just shocks her system.
Yeah. And it really sets off like a little, kind of ticking time bomb that takes, I really feel momentum at the end. The end of this episode, the two of them dancing to their song, and it's both sweet and ominous, was really cool. I think in this otherwise very light feeling episode, them dancing to Good Feeling by the Violent Femmes, and there's kind of Jaws, to bring it back to Jaws again, there's kind of like a little Jaws music playing underneath it, sort of like emotionally. There's something I like that's very interesting to watch. I really liked that at the end of this, and it spins you into the end of the season.
It's also the perfect song from the perfect band, because Violent Femmes, even their name, like there is discordant element, like Violent Femmes is like,
there's a paradox.
They're like toe-tapping fun band who are also like, they've got a darkness to them and a dissonance to them. And even singing about good feeling, there's like these flat notes that feel like, just like they won't quite let you have the good feeling, Do you have any moments, Craig, in your life that you felt like you knew you made the right choice, but you also felt the sting of the sacrifice? Every moment?
Probably a lot of them. Probably every moment, right? I mean, it's such a tough one to answer. It's like you sign up for things thinking you know what they are, right? And then they turn out to be complicated beyond what you thought. And you're like, this wasn't exactly what I ordered up out of the catalog. And then you have to figure out how it fits anyway. And that any choice, you can't be haunted by that grass is always greener shit, because you will never get anywhere. Most of the big decisions I've made feel like the right ones, and also they're challenging.
And they also have an adjustment period, like when someone starts a new job or moves and they come to me kind of and they're scared, I say, give it 4 months, give it 6 months. Like if you're deciding in the first couple days, you will want to leave. You'll be convinced you made the wrong decision. Like we have a metabolizing kind of grace we have to give ourselves. For me, I know that, sometimes you get offered 2 jobs at once and you feel you got to decide, I have a couple of passes that haunt me a little bit because it's a sliding door. It's like, well, what if I had done that job instead of this one? Or what if I'd done that job instead of deciding to go away or do, you know what I mean? Like showbiz gives you a lot of those moments of second guessing and self-reflection. Yeah.
Yeah. Hiring Alec Lev. I mean, I regret that. He almost killed Alyson Hannigan. So it's, you look back and hindsight's 2020.
Also the many things that we haven't talked about Alec that could give us pause. I'm kidding, Alec.
Take your time.
You're intrepid. We love you. You're intrepid.
We love you.
Can we run through a couple of things I found very funny? I loved, it is on like former Soviet Republic of Azerbaijan.
Such a weird line.
Such a weird line. Was that you? That feels like a Craig Thomas line.
I don't know. I don't think that was me. I think that might have been Ira. I think that might have been Ira Ungerleider, who the writer of this episode, who also he wrote for Friends. He's a very funny guy. One of a couple writers that wrote for Friends, and Greg Malins being the other one that also wrote for How I Met Your Mother. And Ira plays the guy at the prom who sort of seems to work at the school, who says to them as they try to enter, "You're clearly adults. Please leave here." And that was Ira. But I think that might have been his joke.
I like when Barney was like, "It's still really awkward." Like there was something really funny about
that. Was funny.
He understands social cues. Like he absolutely understands it. He just won't give into it. Like he won't participate in the awkwardness, but he'll call out the awkwardness
and enjoy it.
And enjoy
really
it.
Enjoy it. Hey, this is happening. This awkwardness is still happening. It's his Christmas morning.
What is Marshall made me laugh when he said, "Look, they're all tuckered out." Like the way Jason
that was
did
really cute.
Really cute. Really guilty on 3 counts of rocking. Who said that? Was that Marshall?
Yeah. That was funny. Marshall talking about the 88. Who's the 88? Who's a real band? We used a couple of their real songs in here, and they did a great cover of Violent Femmes here. They're awesome. We love those guys. We used their song You Belong to Me and Belly Full of Turkey too, which is a great, and the end of that episode, it's a great use of an 88 song. So
they were very the 88 was kind of the How I Met Your Mother season 1 house band. Like they were really like a part of the first season.
Yeah.
I loved all the Bonzo, the John Bonham. Like your cousin is John
weirdly
Bonham.
Specific.
Like so weirdly specific, and so but also like, to me, as a music fan, like being on a show that references the Led Zeppelin drummer, like
Bonzo.
But
dude, that guy's my drum teacher. The whole way I know how to play drums is John Bonham. He was my from beyond the grave drum teacher, and me and 10 million other drummers.
Yeah.
I playing along the Led Zeppelin 2 and 4 is basically how I learned drums. Anyway.
Scooter's longing to go to umpire school is so funny and so specific. Like, where did that come from, and wanting to live on Staten Island? Like, it's just such a specific dream.
I think I might have pitched that one because I was I think I've just the idea of there being an umpire school just stuck in my brain. Like it's just something I've always found really funny that there's an umpire school. I don't know. We just wanted Scooter to have a really weird obsession, and the fact that he looked like Kurt Cobain but wanted to be an umpire was so weird and discordant. And I can look more like Kurt Cobain. David Burtka, very funny. I can look more like Kurt Cobain.
Is so funny.
That was so funny.
I don't think he could have.
That great. David's very funny.
I don't think he could have.
He really looked a lot like Kurt Cobain.
Where did I also think it's funny to kind of invent your own colloquialisms, like disco was a really funny bit.
Well, that's because it was in like 1996. That's a straight up Pulp Fiction reference. That's our boy Quentin Tarantino, who we love, and who is a How I Met Your Mother fan, which delights us to no end. Because there's a little moment in Pulp Fiction, which is obviously as mid 90s as it gets. And where I think she's steering John Travolta to find where the bar is to pour himself a drink while she's up getting ready, and she's like, warmer, disco. And just that idea that Uma Thurman says disco, I think we just took that and said that Lily saw Pulp Fiction and started saying disco for a while after seeing it. That's the backstory of why she says disco.
Do you know what's funny? In that, she actually has the Uma Thurman Pulp Fiction haircut. Almost.
She looks like Uma Thurman. She has the Uma Thurman haircut, so she says disco. That's why. Yeah, that's it.
I like when Scooter says, "We're gonna be an umpire someday." Like
we're gonna
best line.
We're gonna be an umpire.
Favorite line.
Yeah. It's so funny when I think it's Marshall and Ted are talking to I don't know who, but you're seeing Barney climb through that window, and then security, like he thinks he made it, and then security drags him off.
Yeah.
There's something I don't know how you describe that in the comedy playbook.
Zucker Brothers. It's a Zucker Brothers joke. Yeah, it's Airplane.
Exactly, but it's in the foreground. The characters are pretty serious, and they're just doing the plot. And in the background, you see something insane going on. But the audience is supposed to, their eyes are supposed to go to the background.
Naked Gun, Airplane. I would say like that was we 100% of the writers' room said like, let's do that. Let's do Airplane. Let's do Zucker Brothers. It's the deep background joke. Yeah. And I mean, it's sort of silent comedy too, right? It's a little Buster Keaton almost.
I love that dorm room scene. I think it's so sweet. And Jordana was very affected by it. I thought that lesbian kiss was so sweet. That kiss, but we know when they talk about, I've never had a lesbian kiss, and then Kobe goes in and kisses her. I would have, if we were doing it today, and you asked me, I would have cut the line about field hockey, huh?
Yeah, me too. I don't think you needed it.
I just would have let the kiss be the kiss. You know what I mean? Like, there's something so sweet about, like, I'll give you your kiss, you know? There didn't have to be a comment on it.
The other reason we should go cut that line is that it fought the idea that Robin never played team sports, which she had said to Ted on the roof in Slutty Pumpkin. So it was an unneeded treacle cutter, because that was a moment the sweet moment could have just stood, and also it kind of contradicted something that we had said like in the same season. So yes, we're gonna go. We'll fix it in post. We're gonna go cut that right now.
This is what's it? Taylor's versions of her album. We're gonna do Josh and Craig's version.
Yeah, we're gonna buy the rights back. We're going to take out every stupid thing we ever said that offended anybody, and also inconsistencies. All right. Good job. The Alec episode, ladies and gentlemen, the Alec episode.
Great work, Alec.
Thank
This episode is dedicated to our friend Alec Lev. Well, we're just about at the end of the episode, and as ever, we like to start these episodes with a voice note from people letting us know what How I Met Your Mother means to them, and then we end with a written note from people letting us know the same. If you would like to contribute to this this ongoing project we're doing, and maybe have your letter read on the air or your voice note played at the beginning of the show, please go to www.howwemadeyourmother, HWMYM.com, and go to contact and follow all the instructions. We'd be delighted to hear from you. And today we have a wonderful letter that Craig Thomas is going to read. Take it away, Craig.
Yeah, this one is from Apple Podcasts, and we're very grateful for anybody that goes on and reviews the show on Apple Podcasts, especially if you say nice things. And if you write one, we might read it on the show, and it helps the show. It helps the show grow, and it helps us get promoted on there. So please also get to us this way. For example, here's one from Robert W. Rogers. The title was Exactly What We Needed. Great timing as well. So I have high hopes that this will be positive. This was absolutely grand. I love how formal it starts, Josh. This was absolutely grand. Sounds a bit British, maybe. Best idea since the show went off the air. The best way to relive the sitcom, beginning to end, in a new way for repeat viewers. LOL, the behind-the-scenes tidbits and commentary episode by episode, scenes spoken over entire episodes in a weekly format again that will focus on episodes in order for all 207 episodes. Yes, so special. We will try to do all of them for you, by the way. That is our goal. It can't be binged or consumed in a weekend, and I can't put away and come back after they've finished, because I'll be returning each week for the latest episode. And I love this because the slow burn over a period is how sitcoms worked, especially these types of shows where there's actual depth and emotional range, expansive storylines evolving over decades, a sitcom. It's still wild to me that a comedic sitcom managed to become so much more than that, and they succeeded far beyond. Why, thank you. Friends had its moments. I love that now we're going, I'm nervous. Like, is it going to compare us to Friends? I'm just going to power through. Friends had its moments. It had some sad scenes, deeper stories, flashbacks, true character depth, yes. But MeUndies went a new level with it and managed to get it right, despite flashbacks and jumping scenes all episode long, all series long. But they did it, and it worked. And the ability to intrigue, keep mystery, questions open, lasting 6-7 years. A half-hour sitcom managed to be and do all of that. Despite being the real classical type sitcom, the Friends, Seinfeld, Cheers style comedic show, it fit that precisely, but also in its own way. Same way Friends brought its own vibe to the classic style in the 1990s. MeUndies did a modern spin, but it was every bit the traditional broadcast primetime network sitcom, and so much more. So there's a lot to unpack and dig into, and since much of the staff, not to mention the crew, creators and writers, do very little presser interviews. Do we? We do some stuff. Come on. The deep talk and reflection over the show never really happened, but it's now off the air for just over 10 years. It's a fantastic time to do this. Plenty of post-MeUndies life, reflection, introspection, experiences amongst cast and crew. Getting their recollection and tidbits from the other side of the show is fascinating, so I'm game. I'm here for it, and I'll be here till all 207 plus episodes are dropped here. Thank you, Robert. That is a lovely message, and we appreciate the review on Apple Podcasts. Keep them coming, y'all.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
I am guilty. Please acquit me. All sins are forgiven. In New York City.
How We Made Your Mother is hosted and executive produced by Josh Radnor and Craig Thomas. The show was produced by me, Alec Lev, and our co-producer is Doug Matica. Our audio producer and mixer is Alex Reeves, at Point of Blue Studios, and our digital content producer, aka Gen Z Master, is Emily Blumberg. Artwork by John Morrow. Please follow, rate, and review the show on Apple Podcasts or your podcast player of choice. It really does help the show. Our theme song is NYC by our own Josh Radner, with additional music by Craig Thomas and Andrew Majewski. Special thanks to Lola Kennedy and Elliot Connors. Visit howwemadeyourmother.com to sign up for our Substack mailing list and for links to our social media. You can also click on the contact page to send us an email or a voice message. Your stories and questions are an important part of the show. Want some merch? Click on the store link or go to howyougetyourmerch.com. Subscribe to Josh Radner's Muse-letters on Substack. Order Craig Thomas's debut novel at craigthomaswriter.com/novel. And you can subscribe to my Dead Fathers Society, also on Substack. To learn about how you make a difference, this show's ongoing campaign to raise money for congenital heart disease research, check out the Make a Difference tab at the top of our website. This episode was made possible by the support of Backyard Ventures. People will, in fact, dance.
The real question, it just hit me. Am I in love with you? Or just New York City?